Ale. Okay, next tutorial. This tutorial is for Jeff the Killer. This is probably my most requested look to date, after all the ones I've done obviously in the past. There's so many people requested this look, I can't give a shout out to everyone, but I'll try and flash on the screen now a few of the people that requested it first. The first person who actually requested it is WW... Yeah, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, so I just put the name there, so sorry, I don't want to really badly pronounce your name wrong, so I'll put your name there. So thank you so much for being the first person. Thanks everyone that requested this look. I wouldn't have known about it if it weren't for you guys, so thank you. Now, Jeff the Killer is from a story called Go to Sleep, or Jeff the Killer. It's basically, from what I can gather, it's from a story originating from Creepypasta, which is a website that hosts amazing horror stories, and this is one of them. And it's been made iconic by the image that has gone around the internet from this kind of a look. So it's not a direct recreation from the look that's come from the story, because the story advertises like a really burn victim, and it's a little bit different, but I've taken inspiration from the story and from the versions that have been floating around the internet, like the photos and the recreation makeups that have similar to like No Nose, and yeah, so I tried to amalgamate the versions and this is what I've come up with. So yeah, it's a super fun look to do. So if you'd like to see how to recreate this look, stay tuned. So before I start, I just want to talk a little bit about Jeff. I'll try not to ramble on too long, but there's two ways I can go about doing this look. There's the look that everyone's come to know and love, like the meme from, it's probably what made the story most popular, from like the photoshopped images and the cartoon images where he has no nose, white face, black hair, round eyes, Chelsea smile. Yeah, but if you read the original story, it doesn't really mention anything about the no nose. It literally is bleached skin but then burnt, Chelsea smile, round eyes because he burns his eyelids off. I hope I'm not ruining the story for some of you guys out there. But no, it seems to get lost somewhere in translation. He doesn't have the burn that you would expect him to have, and I was going to apply a bald cap and pull my hair through to make it look more singed because he was all completely on fire. But I don't know, if I change it too much, I think people aren't going to understand or aren't going to recognise it as Jeff the Killer, which looks like another random psycho. So I'm going to go more in the way of the way the media's portrayed Jeff the Killer, just so people will understand what the look is. But I will do it a little bit differently. Like, for example, I'm going to apply my entire face with liquid latex just to get the leathery feel. So consequently, I'm going to block my eyebrows out with wax and spirit gum, just so they're completely safe. I'll pop a link here to a tutorial to show you guys how to do that, just so I can save some time up. But yeah, the leathery skin, hopefully. So consequently, I'm going to do my Chelsea smile out of latex rather than gelatin or wax or third degree, just because if I'm applying my whole face with liquid latex, I might as well use that. You can use those, it's just whichever you find more preferable. But yeah, so I'm going to start by blocking out my eyebrows and we'll go from there. Okay, then the next step, I can do my little drooped eye effect that I did for like my Chucky look and my Bride of Frankenstein look. Basically, this effect is using collodion, so that's by Kryolan, which when it dries puckers the skin to form almost like a scar. That's what it's mainly used for. But I found if I apply it just where the bags of my eyes finish, just about here, it pulls the eyelids down ever so slightly and makes them just look that much more creepy and just really yucky. Which I think will look really cool for this effect. But whenever I do this, I get a lot of messages from people saying, are you alright? I was really worried for your eyes while she was doing that. Is it safe? Stuff like that. Now, what you've got to understand about this effect is when you pull your eyelids down only a tiny bit, the effect is really, like, it's pulled down a lot, but they're not. So even though it's only pulling it down a tiny little bit, my eyelids are still making contact and it just looks worse than it is. So, I mean, I've always done it and I've always found it safe, touch wood. Obviously I'm not going too near my eyes, and as I said, as long as your eyes can blink and your eyes do actually close, it's fine. Well, that's my theory anyway. So I'm just going to apply one coat of it underneath where the bags are on my eyes, just pull them down ever so slightly for a couple of seconds, maybe about 20 seconds, just to let it dry. Don't pull them down too heavy, just the tiny amount, enough to make it look creepy. So yeah, so I'm going to do that and then we can start on the next step. Okay, so it starts pulling it down. It's still drying now, so it's going to pull a bit more, but you can see the effect it's starting to give. Yeah, so as that's drying, I can start my next step, which is taking a regular sponge and some liquid latex, and I'm going to cover my entire face. Obviously, being careful around the eye area, go over the eyebrows because we block them out so it's safe, and we'll let that dry and then do a second coat, and then we can work on adding some extra tissue for some depth. So once you've done the second coat, mine's just almost dry now, it's just got the middle part to dry. I'm going to take some tissue paper, which I've torn in two, so I've got the thinner half. We'll take very, very, very thin strips like this, and the idea is I'm going to start building up this area around my mouth, because where I want the Chelsea smile to be. So I'm going to probably go up to about there. So yeah, I'm going to saturate the area in liquid latex once again. So I'll start on this side, and then I can just literally press the tissue down and then saturate it again. So the idea is that I can build up enough fake skin that I can cut into. So I'll do that, I'll let that dry and then do that again, probably about 3 to 4 times on each side, and then I'll know I've got enough of an area to cut into. So there we are, so I've done even coats either side. I've also gone up to my lips as well, and I've cut in the middle just so I can open my mouth, just so that the effect doesn't just stop at my lips. Okay, so whilst that's drying, I can do the next effect, which is going to be the nose. So this is where my own version of the look comes into play, more like the story. I'm not going to get rid of my nose completely, like the look, the more commonly known look, but I will start blending it into my face because otherwise it just won't be that iconic. So I'm going to do latex either side here, and I'm going to start building up tissues going downwards rather than outwards, because otherwise it'll just look like a bandage covering my nose. So I'm going to take strips of latex after I've saturated it, do strip after strip, starting about there, then working outwards to about there, just to more even my nose out, not get rid of it completely, just to make it look more hidden. It'll be difficult to describe, but I don't want to get rid of it completely. I don't want to just have a smooth lump of latex because it will look weird otherwise. So there we are. I've basically smoothed out the ridges where my nasolabial folds start, so it's a lot smoother. So when I paint it, I won't paint any folds on or any shading there. I might do some shading here, but it just smooths the whole area out. So now I can do exactly the same thing again for the last time on my eyebrows. So rather than, I'm going to make them look a little bit angrier, so I'm going to have this whole area here covered in tissue, but I'm more going to try and make it round. So I'm going to have a flap coming over here as well, just to make the eyes look a bit more round, as people have come to expect from the pictures that are floating around the internet. So I'm going to do the same thing again, layer of liquid latex, layer of tissue, until I've got this whole rounded effect and slightly arched here. So there we are. Don't I look fun? So then I can take some scissors and I can start cutting in my Chelsea smile. So please be careful on this step. If you don't want to do it this way, you can obviously just do strips of tissue either side, leaving them a bit clear, but this way I get a really nice sharp edge and it looks more like I've cut into it. So just take the edge of the latex, pull it up slightly, just so there's area to cut, and then just start cutting away tiny bit at a time until you've got the shape that you want. Okay, so what I did after that was I took some regular spirit gum and I just coated the entire of this cut here, because what the idea is, I've cut it in the way that when I smile, because obviously you've got this horrible grin, isn't he, the lines match up, and I don't want the latex underneath to unstick and flap up. So then, as usual, I can take my Snazaroo Clown White and I can apply that in random areas on my face. I can take a kabuki brush or a regular fluffy foundation brush and I can start blending it in all over. I can then take my Ben Nye setting powder in Super White just to press in over all of this, just so it sets in place and doesn't look as shiny. Then I can take my Grimace Black Cream, which is 101, and I'm going to apply this all over my eyes and my eyelids, even though obviously this look isn't got to, you're not meant to have eyelids, but I'm not going to cut them off for the sake of this tutorial. Sorry. So the idea is I'm going to paint them black, but I'm going to smoky them out. I'm not going to smoky them out towards the nose because I want the nose to be shaded out here. So I'm going to do the effect splayed outwards. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so there we go. So I've blended the eyes out, not particularly neatly. I just want it to look really disturbed, and I promise you, this is not going to be the Joker. I know that's what it looks like. It really does look like a really, really, really bad Joker. So, so then once I've smoked out the eyes, I can take some black MAC fluid line in Black Track. It's like a black cream, but it's safe for the waterline of the eyes. I'm just going to line the waterline of both my eyes just to make them look a little bit darker. Then I'm going to take my Grimace palette, which I love. I'm going to use the dark brown and red. So the dark brown is in 1001. I'm going to use that to line the outside of all of this. It's basically just a very, very, very dark brown, just to give the illusion of depth. So I'm going to start lining that ever so slightly on the outside, so that I can colour the rest of this all in red, and then use some fake blood over the top of that to really make it extra creepy. Then I can take that Grimace red cream in 504, and I can just apply that all on the inside of this sort of Chelsea smile. Then I can take some fake blood, but I'm going to be using Krolan's Fresh Scratch, because it's really thick blood that seems to set and stay in place. It's lovely. So I'm going to apply this all in the inside of this Chelsea smile. The idea then is I can smear it all over the place to get it to fall down and start forming just not as neat a line, like dribbles coming off the mouth. I'm then going to use my usual trick of making these look a bit more, I don't know what the word is, rustic, not as clean. I'm going to take some black hairspray, do not breathe this in, and obviously have your eyes closed. I'm going to spray my black hairspray from a distance, make sure to practice it on your arm so you know how far away you need to be. I'm just going to spray around the outside and down here just to give the effect that it's just not so white, because otherwise it just look a bit too clean, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, and I'm not going to do any wrinkles on the forehead or anything because I want it to be very minimalistic, as most of the photos are. So, yeah, so the idea is then I can just, you could use a wig. I've probably actually got the same hair, I think, that most of these pictures have. So, black hair that's long enough that you can back comb it and make it look crazy and have a few strands coming down. I think it's got a middle parting. I think that's the whole idea of it. So, yeah, I'm going to back comb and spread my hair like crazy, or you can use a wig, but you know how you want your hair to be. So there we go. So I did the centre parting in the hair and made it look super crazy. Yep. Not that you can really see in the backdrop, but it looks super messy. The costume is meant to be a white hoodie, which unfortunately I do not have. I have, of course, many different colourful hoodies, but no actual white ones. So this is what I've gone with. I've coloured my chest area with the same white that I used on my face and powdered it just so I have no skin on show aside from my hands, but I never do my hands if I so. And I took some black hairspray and spread it from a distance just to get just to dull the brightness down, just so the face really stands out. I finished the look by applying 2 sclera lenses from eyesbright.com. They are called Medusa, and they are awesome. But yeah, so that's my look. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, you know the usual. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. And yeah, so until next time. Bye.